Ben kendim nasıl çalışabilirim daha sürdürülebilir bir gelecek için?
Paris Jolobajukti.
Mikä on pienenevän mehiläispopulaation vaikutus
Waarom
maapallon
zouden we om
ekosysteemiin?
klimaatverandering moeten geven?
循環型社会ってどういう
Quel
仕組み
est pied? Manger du soja non durable ou manger
Plastic
du
straws,
viande
whole
locale?
bag, pavitaan نكريمة परिसरයට කොතරම්
هل
බලපාන
لأفعالنا البسيطة قيمة؟
जब बर्फानी तोदे सब पिघल जाएंगे तो बर्फानी रीछों का
Welche
क्या
Art von
मस्तक
Auswirkungen hat Palmöl?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our podcast series called 4600 Kilometers of Sustainability.
Hello. Thank you for joining us.
My name is Misha, and I'm from Pakistan.
And I am Sonja, and I come from Finland. That's the name of our series, 4600 Kilometers of Sustainability.
Because this is approximately the distance between our home cities.
Right now, we both are students at Utrecht University in the Netherlands, and we are in our final year of our bachelor's called Global Sustainability Science. It is a program that has an interdisciplinary approach to sustainability, which means that we learn about various environmental issues from different social and natural science viewpoints.
We have, for example, studied some environmental chemistry, ecology, geography, physics, law, economics, etc. so far. So even though it feels quite a lot sometimes, we are grateful for how it has allowed us to get a more comprehensive understanding of sustainability issues.
Yes, that is very true. We understand that life is pretty fast nowadays, and people don't find the time to research sustainability related topics, even if they find them interesting and important. And it might also be hard to know where to start because sustainability is such a broad topic and related to almost everything we do.
Trust us, we feel you. So the aim of this podcast is to answer your concerns about the environment and sustainability in order to make you feel more informed, conscious, and environmentally aware.
Yeah, we want to help you to get access to the same info that we have sat in the lectures for. We want to give you an opportunity to learn about these topics while you're hanging your laundry, sitting in a bus, walking your dog, exercising in the gym, etc.
Yes, gyms apparently still exist. So if the COVID situation allows, you better go and lift those weights or whatever people do there.
Yeah, why would we know? I personally have no idea for sure. Anyway, whatever you do while listening to us, we hope that you will find us entertaining and we will try to be fun.
Yeah, at least a little bit. So in the near future, we will dive a little deeper into the ecological crisis that is happening around us. And some other topics that you can expect sometime soon are what is the role of our diet when it comes to sustainability? And if individual needs matter, how and how much?
We will always put the sources to our facts to the show notes, or at least a link to a document with the sources, just to be more transparent to you guys. And also, if you want to read more about our topics yourself, you know where to start.
Also, if you want to educate someone about what you have heard from us and they ask for sources, it is always nicer to be able to point some other sources than just a podcast episode.
The primary focus of our first episode is climate change. We thought it would give a good base for our future episodes since it's related to so many things. Some of our friends and family sent us questions related to that as well.
Thank you, guys.
So we will do our best to answer those and give you some background info.
To start with, it is very important to understand that weather and climate are two different concepts.
This is something that Trump supporters and other climate change deniers don't seem to get, or maybe they don't want to get it, to be honest. For example, if it snows somewhere, some climate deniers post about that as if that would mean that climate change is cancelled.
Weather is a condition of the atmosphere over a short period of time. So it basically describes the conditions outside right now in a specific place. For example, if you open your window and see that it's raining outside, that's a way to describe the day's weather. Rain, snow, wind, hurricanes, tornadoes, these are all weather events.
But like if you suspect hurricanes or tornadoes, do not open your window maybe. Just a thought, it's not like I'm telling you what to do. Anyway, on the other hand, climate is the way atmosphere behaves over relatively long periods of time, and the climate of a region is not determined by 1 or 2 rainy and cold days. Instead, it is determined after observing its weather over a period of many years, usually 30 years. So in short, the difference between weather and climate is a measure of time. So when someone says,
Climate change has been going on since the beginning of time because it's called winter, spring, summer, fall.
that's not quite it.
But like almost.
No.
All right, all right. So now that we know what the difference between weather and climate is, we can delve deeper into what climate change is.
Climate change describes a change within the average conditions like temperature and rainfall within a region over an extended period of time. Once we are talking about global climate change, we are talking about the changes in long-term averages of daily weather. Weather can change many times a day, but also in seasonal basis, whereas climate is the average of weather over time and space.
An example would be that today in the Netherlands, children always hear stories from their parents and grandparents about how the lakes and canals were frozen in winters and they would ice skate to school. However, children today in the Netherlands haven't experienced so many of such winters. The change in recent winter snow indicates that the climate has changed since their parents were young. So while me and Sonia were really excited to ice skate here, we were so disappointed when we learned the truth. All we got was a thin layer of ice that only added difficulty to cycling. Nothing less, nothing more, except for this year, of course, when we weren't in the Netherlands.
Like it has become obvious this year, there are still chances that we get a cold winter and people in the Netherlands can go ice skating like they did this year because the weather is highly variable, but the likelihood of getting such a winter has largely dropped because of climate change. So, Misha, does climate change always cause rising temperatures?
Well, climate change is mostly associated with rising temperatures, also known as global warming. However, this is not always the case. Global warming is just one aspect or component of climate change, which is mainly caused due to the increasing concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. But the term climate change is used to describe the increasing changes, such as in precipitation level, temperature, and wind patterns within the measures of climate over an extended period of time. The terminologies global warming and climate change should not actually be used interchangeably as they both have a different meaning. And it is important to realize that climate change does not only lead to rising temperatures and global warming.
Yeah, the Earth's climate system is super complex and it's connected in so many ways. So climate change can result, for example, in unexpected weather changes. Like what we saw in Spain in January 2021, Madrid experienced a huge amount of snowfall, which obviously is very rare in there. Although this might be a bit confusing and counterintuitive even, it does not mean that global warming is cancelled or anything like that. On the contrary, it actually has to do with very high temperatures in the Arctic areas having messed up with some big air currents, which then caused severe weather conditions in the south. We're not going to discuss the details of the mechanism, how this happened, but if you're interested in learning more about this, there is an article in National Geographic in which they explain it pretty well. So we will link that in the show notes. But then what causes climate change?
Any guesses? Oh, wait, not like you guys can reply. Sorry. Well, greenhouse gases are the culprit. Greenhouse gases are the gases that are present in the Earth's atmosphere that trap heat. They have the capability of letting the sunlight pass through the atmosphere, but at the same time, they prevent the heat that the sunlight brings from leaving the atmosphere.
There are actually many greenhouse gases such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons. Some of them are stronger than others, and some stay in the atmosphere for longer than others, so their impacts are different.
For example, methane is stronger greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide in a sense that one methane molecule heats the atmosphere more than one carbon dioxide molecule, but it stays in the atmosphere for a shorter time. According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Methane is 28 times more potent than carbon dioxide on a 100-year time span. However, the most important greenhouse gas is, of course, carbon dioxide, since it causes most of the warming, given that we humans have been adding it to the atmosphere ever so much.
Greenhouse gases cause the so-called greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is basically what keeps Earth nice and livable, and without any greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, it would be very cold in here. It would be minus 18 Celsius on average. Sorry, Americans. So anyway, the problem is only that by emitting more greenhouse gases to the atmosphere, the greenhouse effect gets stronger and stronger, and thus the global average temperature goes up. But where do these greenhouse gases come from?
Let's first talk about carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide comes from carbon that has been stored for millions and millions of years in the ground in the form of which we call fossil fuels. By burning these fossil fuels, the carbon that has been stored for so many years is emitted in the atmosphere.
And obviously, we have burned these fuels much, much faster than it took to store them, so the system is now out of balance. The problem is also that we have removed much of the forests and other parts of the natural ecosystems that would take the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, that now it does not get out of the atmosphere like it otherwise would.
Other greenhouse gases like methane and nitrous oxide mostly come from agriculture and waste. A fascinating fact is that a cow burps and farts between 160 to 320 liters of methane every single day.
Water vapor is an interesting part of the list too. It is quite a strong one, but it does not stay in the atmosphere for too long, only some days or so. Some of the water vapor is kind of directly put there by us humans, like when we fly planes or irrigate our crops. However, the more relevant part is that when climate warms due to other greenhouse gases, more water will evaporate to the atmosphere, which then works as a greenhouse gas and warms the climate even further.
So basically, we get electromagnetic radiation from the sun. It has quite a short wavelength, which means it carries lots of energy. The shortwave radiation can make its way right through the atmosphere and to the Earth's surface. The Earth's surface absorbs it and gets warm and toasty.
Then the surface emits the radiation back, but now it is in a form of long-wave radiation that can be captured by greenhouse gases. The greenhouse gas molecules emit some of the radiation to space, some to each other, and some back to Earth.
More greenhouse gases means that the heat will not be released back to the space as easily and the planet warms up, hence global warming happens.
And this is our problem in a nutshell.
This episode covered the most important topics about understanding what climate change is. We talked about weather, climate change, global warming, greenhouse gases, and its effects.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and will join us next time too. Please stay tuned for our next episode, which is a sequel for our first climate change episode. We will talk about things like tipping points and climate feedbacks, which make climate change a lot more complicated than it would otherwise seem. These are the things that actually cause gray hair to climate scientists. Oh, and don't click away yet. Let's hear a quick word from our sponsor. Just kidding, we have no sponsor. But we do still have one more segment.
We wanted to end with some stories about our own attempts to live a more sustainable life and how it does not always look like the Insta reels or pictures you see on Pinterest, if you know what we are talking about. So, Sonia, would you like to go ahead?
So my story has to do with a sustainability challenge that we had to do for a month for our first year course in this university. So we were with a group of people, 4 or 5, that were all kind of interested in cosmetics and that type of stuff. So we decided to do our challenge about DIY cosmetics. So we were only allowed to use shampoo, conditioner, and deodorant that was made by ourselves for a whole month. So on the first day, I used a coconut oil conditioner that we had agreed on, and it had left my hair looking permanently greasy. So that did not work out. Yeah, it's probably not the best product for a white person with thin hair. It was also hard to get out, especially when normal shampoo was kind of forbidden. So I was kind of like scrubbing it off with some like oat, green tea, whatever mixture. Anyway, I was tough and I kept using the shampoos and stuff. And yeah, my housemates were sometimes complaining because I had, or not complaining, but they were a little bit confused when I had left like a fork in a shower because I had used the fork to get like some baking powder shampoo out of a jar. Yeah, that was how I lived for a month. And then when the challenge ended and I was finally able to use normal shampoo and conditioner again, one of my housemates was on the same day like, "Oh my God, your hair looks great." Yeah, she did not know about the challenge or how it ended, I think. So that shows me that it was not maybe the best option for my hair to use the DIY products. But I still try and use a little bit less products with plastic and stuff. I currently wash my body with like a piece of olive soap, and it works perfectly well. It's nice and moisturizing, kinda, and it costs like a couple of euros, and it's a pretty big bar. And yeah, that's pretty nice.
What a warrior, Sonia. I wouldn't be able to leave the traditional shampoos behind for a month. My story is a little bit different than yours. So, me, used to the luxury of life, kept using the shampoo as it is, but I removed hair conditioner from my hair care routine. And it turns out that was actually a great decision because brown hair with thin hair and conditioners, that didn't seem to work out. And so by doing this, by removing hair conditioner from my hair care routine, I reduced plastic in my hair care routine. And I actually felt quite happy about it because my hair got more voluminous after leaving conditioner. Maybe it's my story, maybe other people can have a similar experience. So, guys, this was our first episode of 4,600 kilometers of sustainability. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us today. We really, really appreciate it. And we hope you enjoyed this episode and will join us next time too. Please stay tuned for future episodes, especially the next time of our climate change series.
Also, if you guys have something that you would like to talk to us about, or maybe you have an idea for a fun segment for us, or anything else, please contact us. We would love to hear from you. You can do that on our personal Instagrams if that is where you found this podcast. But you can also do that on email 4600podcast@gmail.com. Bye!